Ladies, imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a launch pad, not unlike the one we use at SpaceX, staring at a rocket that could take you to the stars. But it's not moving. It's just sitting there, full of potential, waiting for someone to hit the ignition. That's what most of us do with our lives. We sit, we wait, we hesitate. We're afraid to say what we really want, afraid to light the fuse. I'm here to tell you about two words that changed my life. Two words that turned me from a nerdy, awkward kid into someone who's built companies like Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink, and yes, even won the hearts of some incredible women. Those two words, I want. And today I'm going to show you how they can change your life too, how they can make you magnetic, unstoppable, and yes, even irresistible, not just to others, but to the universe itself. Let me take you back to when I was a kid in South Africa, a gangly teenager with big dreams and zero game. I was the guy who'd spend hours coding video games in my basement, dreaming of colonizing Mars, but when it came to talking to a girl I liked, total system failure. I'd stammer, I'd mumble, I'd say things like, uh, maybe we could, hang out sometime if you're not busy. It was like watching a rocket crash before it even left the ground. I was so afraid of sounding pushy or weird that I'd hide what I really wanted. And you know what? That fear didn't just mess up my dating life, it held me back in everything. I was afraid to tell professors what I wanted to build, afraid to pitch ideas to investors, afraid to admit I wanted to change the world. Sound familiar? Have you ever felt that knot in your stomach, that moment where you swallow your true desires because you're worried about what someone else might think? That's the gravity holding your rocket down. Now, fast forward a few years, I'm in my early 20s trying to figure out how to make electric cars a reality. I'm pitching Zip2, my first company, to investors who looked at me like I was some kid with a crazy sci-fi fantasy, but something had changed. I'd learned the power of I want. Instead of saying maybe this could work, I walked into those rooms and said, I want to build a company that makes information accessible to everyone. Boom. That clarity, that decisiveness, it was like flipping a switch. People listened. They didn't always agree, but they respected the vision. And you know what? It wasn't just about business. When I met a woman I was interested in, I stopped dancing around it. I'd say, I want to take you to dinner. There's this great place in Palo Alto, 7 p.m. tomorrow. No hemming, no hawing, just straight up intent. And let me tell you, ladies, that kind of clarity, it's magnetic. It's not about being pushy. It's about owning your desires, about saying, this is who I am and this is what I want. Let's talk about why this matters for you. As women, you face a world that's constantly telling you to be less loud, less demanding, less ambitious. Society loves to put you in a box, make you feel like wanting too much is somehow unladylike. I get it. I've seen it with the incredible women I've worked with, from engineers at Tesla to scientists at Neuralink. They're brilliant, but sometimes they hesitate, they soften their edges, they say, well, maybe we could try this instead of, I want this done, and here's how we're going to do it. And I'm here to tell you, stop dimming your light. The universe doesn't reward hesitation, it rewards those who know what they want and go for it. When I decided I wanted to make space travel affordable, I didn't wait for permission. I built SpaceX. When I wanted to revolutionize transportation, I didn't ask if it was okay. I created Tesla. And when I wanted to connect with someone, I didn't play games. I said, I want you in my life. And yeah, I'm not saying it worked every time. Rejection's part of the deal, but it worked enough. 200 incredible women didn't just fall into my lap because I'm some smooth talking Casanova. They were drawn to the energy of someone who wasn't afraid to be clear, to be real. Think about your own life for a second. When was the last time you said what you really wanted? Not what you thought you should want, not what your friends or your family or society told you to want, but what burns inside you. Maybe it's a career you're dying to pursue, like designing the next big sustainable energy solution. Maybe it's a relationship where you're treated like the brilliant, powerful woman you are. Or maybe it's just the courage to say, I want to take a weekend for myself, no apologies. Whatever it is, those two words I want are your launch code. They're the spark that gets your rocket off the ground. And let me tell you, once you start saying them, it's like breaking free from Earth's gravity. You start to see possibilities you never imagined. Now, I know what you're thinking. Elon, it's not that simple. What if I say what I want and people think I'm too much? What if I scare them off? Fair point. I've been there. When I told people I wanted to colonize Mars, half of them thought I was nuts. The other half just laughed. But here's the thing. The people who matter, the ones worth having in your life, they're not scared off by your ambition. They're drawn to it. When you say, I want to lead this project or I want us to go on an adventure together, you're not just stating a preference, you're showing the world who you are. You're saying, I'm here, I'm real, and I'm not afraid to chase what sets my soul on fire. And that, ladies, is what makes you irresistible. Not just to a partner, but to everyone, colleagues, friends, the universe itself. Let's get practical for a second. Picture this. You're at a coffee shop and you meet someone who catches your eye. Maybe it's a potential friend, maybe it's more. Your instinct might be to play it cool, to say something vague like, oh, maybe we could hang out sometime. Don't. Walk up and say, I want to grab coffee with you next week. What's your schedule like? It's direct, it's confident, and it shows you value your time and theirs. Or maybe you're in a meeting pitching an idea to your team. Instead of saying, I think this might be good, say, I want us to build this product. Here's why it's going to change everything. That's the kind of clarity that turns heads, that makes people sit up and listen. It's not about being perfect, it's about being real. And trust me, I've had my share of awkward moments. I once told a woman, I want to take you to the moon, thinking it was romantic. Spoiler, she thought I was being literal. We laughed it off, but the point is, I wasn't afraid to say what I wanted, even if it came out a little weird. This isn't just about dating or work, it's about your entire life. When I started SpaceX, I didn't just want to build rockets, I wanted to make humanity multiplanetary. That's a big, crazy I want. And every step, every failure, every explosion, every sleepless night was driven by that clarity. You don't need to aim for Mars, but you do need to aim for something. What's your Mars? What's the thing that keeps you up at night? The dream you're too afraid to say out loud. Maybe it's starting your own company. Maybe it's traveling the world. Maybe it's building a family on your terms. Whatever it is, start with I want. Say it to yourself in the mirror. Say it to your friends. Say it to the world. Because the moment you own those words, you're not just a passenger on someone else's rocket, you're the one in the driver's seat. Now, I'm not saying this is easy. Change never is. When I left South Africa to chase my dreams in America, I had $2,000 in my pocket and a suitcase full of books. I was terrified, but I told myself, I want to build something that matters. That kept me going through the rejections, the doubts, the nights when I slept on the floor because I couldn't afford a bed. And it's the same with relationships. I've had my heart broken. I've made mistakes. I've said the wrong thing more times than I can count. But every time I said I want, I got a little closer to being the person I wanted to be. And that's what I want for you. I want you to feel that fire, that clarity, that power. Because when you do, you're not just attracting others, you're attracting the life you were meant to live. So, ladies, here's my challenge to you. Before you leave this room, think about one thing you want. Just one. It doesn't have to be big. It could be as simple as I want to take a pottery class, or as bold as I want to start my own business. Say it to yourself, feel it, then say it out loud to someone you trust, because that's where it starts. That's where you light the fuse. And trust me, once that rocket takes off, there's no stopping it. You're not just going to the stars, you're building your own damn constellation. Ladies, let's get real for a moment. You're sitting in a room full of potential, your own potential, and yet how many times have you felt that invisible weight pressing down on you, telling you to shrink, to soften, to hide what you really want? It's like trying to launch a rocket with the brakes on. I've seen it, I've lived it, and I'm here to tell you why that hesitation is holding you back, not just from the relationships you deserve, but from the life you were born to create. The world has a way of making women feel like saying, I want is too much, too bold, too risky. But let me tell you something, the only real risk is staying silent. Today, we're going to unpack why so many of you bury your desires and why embracing I want is the key to breaking free from that gravity and soaring into the life you're meant to live. Let's start with a story. Early in my career, when I was still figuring out how to turn my crazy ideas into reality, I met this incredible woman at a tech conference in Silicon Valley. She was brilliant, PhD in computer science, sharp as a tack, the kind of person who could debug code faster than I could blink. I was smitten. So I worked up the courage to ask her out, but instead of being clear, I fumbled. I said something like, hey, if you're not doing anything, maybe we could grab a coffee or something. It was weak. It was vague. And you know what? She smiled politely, said she was busy, and that was that. I walked away kicking myself, not because she said no, but because I hadn't been honest about what I wanted. I didn't say, I want to take you out for coffee this Thursday because I think you're fascinating. I hid my intent, and in doing so, I lost the chance to connect. Sound familiar? Have you ever walked away from a conversation, a job opportunity, or a moment where you could have shown, only to think, why didn't I just say what I meant? That moment stuck with me, not just because of the misconnection, but because it mirrored something I was seeing in my work. When I started SpaceX, I was surrounded by engineers, some of the smartest people on the planet, but I noticed a pattern. The women on my team, even the most brilliant ones, often hesitated to own their ideas. They'd say things like, this might be a good approach, or I was thinking maybe we could try this. Meanwhile, their male colleagues would barrel in with, this is what we need to do. Guess who got heard? Not always the guy with the better idea, but the one with the louder voice. It wasn't about talent, it was about clarity. The women weren't less capable, they were just conditioned to hold back, to soften their edges, to avoid seeming too much. And that's the problem. Society has wired you to believe that saying I want is somehow wrong, that it makes you pushy, aggressive, or unladylike. But let me tell you something, that's nonsense. It's like telling a rocket it shouldn't burn fuel because it's too loud. You were built to burn bright, to take up space, to say what you want, and mean it. Think about the stakes here. When I was building Tesla, every decision mattered. If I'd hesitated, if I'd said, maybe electric cars could work, instead of, I want to make electric vehicles the future of transportation, we'd still be stuck in the dark ages of gas-guzzling SUVs. Hesitation kills momentum. It's the same in your life. Every time you swallow your I want, whether it's asking for a raise, telling someone how you feel, or pursuing a dream, you're not just pausing your rocket, you're grounding it. And the cost isn't just personal, it's cosmic. The world misses out on your ideas, your passion, your unique spark. Imagine if I'd never said, I want to make humanity multiplanetary. No SpaceX, no Starship, no dream of Mars. Your silence doesn't just hold you back, it holds back everyone who could benefit from your vision. So why do you hide your I want? Let's break it down. First, there's the fear of judgment. You worry that if you say what you want, people will think you're selfish, demanding, or out of line. I get it. When I told investors I wanted to build reusable rockets, they rolled their eyes. They called me delusional. But here's the thing. Their judgment didn't stop me. It fueled me. Because I knew that if I didn't believe in my I want, no one else would. Second, there's the fear of rejection. What if you say, I want to lead this project, and your boss says no? What if you say, I want to go on a date with you, and they turn you down? Rejection stings, no doubt. I've been rejected more times than I can count by investors, by partners, by women who thought my Mars obsession was a deal breaker. But every rejection taught me something. It's better to be clear and take the hit than to stay vague and wonder what could have been. Then there's the big one, the fear of being too much. Society loves to tell women to be polite, to be accommodating, to put others first. And look, I'm not saying you should steamroll over people, but there's a difference between being kind and erasing yourself. When I was designing the Tesla Roadster, I didn't say, let's make a car that's kind of fast. I said, I want a car that goes from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds and looks like it could outrun a supernova. That clarity set the standard. You need to set your own standard. Whether it's in your career, your relationships, or your personal dreams, saying, I want, isn't about being selfish, it's about being honest. It's about giving the world a chance to see the real you. Let me share another story. A few years back, I was at a dinner party and I met this woman who ran a startup focused on renewable energy. She was passionate, driven, the kind of person who could light up a room just by talking about solar grids. But when I asked her about her plans, she hesitated. She said, well, I'm hoping we can maybe scale up in a few years. I pushed her. What do you want to do? She paused, then said, I want to power entire cities with clean energy by the end of the decade. That was it. That was her spark. And you know what? She's doing it now. Her company's growing, she's making waves, and it all started with admitting what she wanted. That's the power of I want. It's not just a phrase, it's a declaration of who you are and what you're here to do. Now, I know this isn't just about work, it's about every part of your life. Maybe you've been in a relationship where you held back, afraid to say, I want more time together, or I want us to be honest with each other. Maybe you've been single, wanting to connect with someone, but scared to say, I want to get to know you. Or maybe it's bigger. Maybe you want to move to a new city, start a business, or chase a dream that feels impossible. Whatever it is, the first step is owning it. Say it out loud, write it down, tell someone, because the moment you do, you're not just dreaming, you're building, you're taking the first step toward making it real. Let's talk about what happens when you don't say, I want, you end up living someone else's version of your life. You take the job that's fine instead of the one that sets your soul on fire. You stay in relationships that don't serve you because you're afraid to ask for more. You let your dreams gather dust because you're worried they're too big, too bold, too much. I've been there. When I started Neuralink, people told me connecting brains to computers was science fiction. If I'd listened, if I'd said, maybe it's not the right time, we wouldn't be where we are today. Your I want is your fuel. Without it, you're just coasting, and coasting doesn't get you to the stars. So, ladies, here's the deal. The world needs your I want. It needs your ambition, your passion, your unapologetic desire to make things happen. Whether it's in love, in work, or in the quiet moments when you're dreaming alone, don't let fear keep you grounded. You're not too much, you're exactly enough. And the moment you start saying, I want, you're not just changing how others see you, you're changing how you see yourself. You're stepping into the pilot's seat of your own life. And trust me, from someone who's spent his life chasing impossible dreams, there's nothing more exhilarating than that. All right, ladies, we've talked about the weight that holds you back, the fear that keeps your rocket grounded. Now, let's talk about how to break free. Let's talk about the tool that's going to redefine how the world sees you, how you see yourself, and how you shape your destiny. It's those two words again, I want. They're not just words, they're a signal, a declaration, a thruster that propels you out of orbit and into the life you're meant to live. Today, I'm going to show you how to wield I want like a master engineer, whether you're building a relationship, a career, or a legacy. This isn't about chasing fleeting attention, it's about commanding respect, sparking connection, and making the universe take notice. Because when you say I want with clarity and purpose, you're not just asking for something, you're claiming your place in the cosmos. Let me tell you a story from the early days of Tesla. We were struggling to get the Mo 1 S off the ground, supply chain issues, battery problems, you name it. I was in a meeting with my team, and everyone was throwing around ideas, but nobody was taking charge. I could feel the energy draining from the room, like a spacecraft losing power in deep space. So I stood up and said, I want the Mo 1 S to be the best damn electric car the world has ever seen. I want it to hit 250 miles of range, and I want it done by next year. The room went quiet. People looked at me like I'd just asked them to build a warp drive. But you know what? That clarity shifted everything. Suddenly, we weren't just brainstorming, we were aligned, focused, driven. Engineers started sketching solutions, suppliers got on board, and we made it happen. That's the power of I want. It's not just about stating a goal, it's about setting a course and rallying the universe to follow you. Now, let's bring this to your world. Imagine you're at work and there's a project you know you could crush. Maybe it's leading a new initiative, redesigning a product, or pitching a game-changing idea. Your instinct might be to hold back, to say, I could probably help with this, or maybe I have an idea. Stop. That's like launching a rocket at half throttle. It's not going anywhere fast. Instead, try this. Walk into that meeting and say, I want to lead this project. I've got a vision to make it a success, and here's how we'll do it. Be specific, be bold, lay out your plan like you're plotting a course to Mars. When I said I wanted reusable rockets at SpaceX, I didn't just stop at the words, I backed it up with a plan. Design, test, iterate, launch. You do the same. Say, I want to redesign this product to cut costs by 20% and increase user satisfaction. That kind of clarity doesn't just get you noticed, it gets you respected. But this isn't just about work. Let's talk about relationships, because that's where I want can really shine. Picture this. You're interested in someone, maybe a friend, maybe more. You've been dropping hints, playing it cool, hoping they'll pick up on your vibe. Sound familiar? I've been there. Back when I was starting out in Silicon Valley, I met this woman at a networking event. She was a designer, had this incredible energy, like she could light up a room with her ideas. I wanted to get to know her, but my first instinct was to play it safe, to say something vague like, hey, maybe we could collaborate sometime. Lame, right? So I took a risk. I walked up and said, I want to grab dinner with you this Friday. There's this spot in San Francisco with the best sushi 7 p.m. work for you. She smiled, said yes, and we ended up having one of the most memorable conversations of my life. It wasn't about the sushi, it was about the courage to be clear, to show I valued her time and mine. Here's the thing, I want isn't just about getting what you ask for, it's about showing who you are. When you say, I want to spend an evening getting to know you, or I want us to plan a trip together, you're not just making a request, you're revealing your confidence, your authenticity, your willingness to step into the unknown, and that's what draws people in. It's not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about being real. I've had plenty of moments where my I want didn't land, times when I asked for a date and got a polite no, or pitched an idea and got shot down. But every time I said it, I learned something. I got stronger. I got closer to the person I wanted to be. Let's get practical. How do you use I want in your everyday life? Start small. Maybe you're at a coffee shop and you want to try something new. Instead of saying, "Can you make me something good?" Say, "I want a lavender latte with oat milk, extra foam." Own it. Feel how it shifts your energy. Then take it bigger. If you're in a relationship, don't say, "Maybe we could do something fun this weekend." Say, "I want us to go hiking in Yosemite this Saturday." I think it'll be amazing to disconnect and just be together. If you're single and meet someone interesting, don't wait for them to make the first move. Say, "I want to grab coffee with you next week. What's a good day?" It's not about being aggressive, it's about being intentional. You're not demanding, you're inviting. You're opening a door and letting them decide whether to walk through. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. Your I want isn't just about the moment, it's about your legacy. When I started Neuralink, I didn't say, "Maybe we could connect brains to computers someday." I said, "I want to merge human intelligence with AI to unlock our potential." That vision drove every decision, every late night, every breakthrough. What's your big I want? Maybe you want to start a company that changes how people think about sustainable fashion. Maybe you want to write a book that inspires millions. Maybe you want to build a family that's rooted in love and adventure. Whatever it is, say it, own it. Because the moment you do, you're not just dreaming, you're engineering your future. Here's a trick I've learned. Back your I want with a why. When I said I wanted to make Tesla the leader in electric vehicles, I didn't stop there. I said, because we need to save the planet from fossil fuels. That why gave my want, weight, purpose, meaning, do the same. If you say, "I want to lead this team," add, "because I know we can deliver something extraordinary." If you say, "I want to go on a date with you," add, "because I think we could have an amazing connection." The why makes your want undeniable. It's like adding a booster rocket to your launch. It gives you the thrust to break through any resistance. But let's be real, saying "I want" takes guts. It's not always comfortable. When I told the world I wanted to colonize Mars, I knew I was opening myself up to ridicule. And yeah, plenty of people laughed. But I also inspired a team of engineers, scientists, and dreamers to join me. Your "I want" will do the same. It'll attract the right people, those who respect your clarity, who vibe with your energy, who want to be part of your mission. And the ones who don't get it, they're not your crew. Let them go. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to build something extraordinary. So, ladies, here's where it gets exciting. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You don't need to wait for someone else to validate your dreams. Your I want is your power source, your control panel, your mission directive. Start using it today. Say it in the mirror, say it to your friends, say it in that meeting where you've been holding back, say it to the person who makes your heart race. Because every time you do, you're not just speaking, you're rewriting the code of your life. You're telling the universe, "I'm here, I'm ready, and I'm not afraid to go after what I want." And trust me, from someone who spent his life chasing the impossible, there's nothing more powerful than that. Ladies, you've got the spark now. You know the power of I want, how it can light up your life like a Tesla coil, how it can launch your dreams into orbit. But here's the thing about rockets. If you don't calibrate them just right, they don't just miss the target, they crash. Saying "I want" isn't about blasting your way through the world with no regard for others. It's about precision, about channeling that bold electric energy in a way that builds bridges, not walls. Today, we're diving into the art of balancing your "I want" with respect, empathy, and openness. Because when you master this balance, you're not just commanding attention, you're creating connections that last, relationships that thrive, and a life that resonates with meaning. This is how you go from being bold to being unforgettable. Let me take you back to a moment that taught me this lesson the hard way. When I was scaling up SpaceX, we were racing to get our first Falcon 1 rocket off the ground. I was relentless, telling my team, "I want this rocket to fly, and I want it now." I was all in vision on full blast, no brakes, but I pushed too hard. I didn't listen when my engineers said we needed more time to test. I didn't hear the concerns about the fuel system. And guess what? That rocket didn't just fail, it exploded on the launch pad. A fireball of ambition gone wrong. I learned something critical that day. Saying "I want" is only half the equation. If you don't pair it with respect for others' input, you're not leading, you're bulldozing. and nobody, whether it's a team of engineers or someone you care about, responds well to that. Now, let's bring this to your world. As women, you're often navigating a tightrope. You're told to be confident but not too aggressive, to be clear but not too demanding. It's exhausting, right? I see it with the incredible women at Tesla and Neuralink. They're juggling expectations that would make landing a rocket on a drone ship look easy. But here's where I want becomes your superpower. It lets you be bold and build trust if you use it right. The key is to express Ananshah Moon with clarity while leaving space for others to respond, to contribute, to be part of the journey. It's like designing a spacecraft. You set the trajectory, but you need a crew to make it fly. Imagine you're in a relationship, maybe it's romantic, maybe it's a friendship. You're feeling like you need more connection, more time together. Your instinct might be to hint at it to say, it'd be nice if we hung out more. But hints are like sending a satellite signal into a black hole. They get lost. Instead, try this. I want us to spend a weekend together, just the two of us. Maybe hiking in the redwoods or binge watching that sci-fi series you love. What do you think? Notice the difference? You're clear about your desire, but you're also inviting their input. You're not demanding, you're opening a door. When I started dating again after a rough patch, I used this approach. I'd say, I want to take you to this amazing observatory to stargaze. It's one of my favorite spots. What's a night that works for you? It wasn't about control, it was about sharing my passion and making space for theirs. Here's another example, this time from work. Let's say you're pitching an idea to your boss, a bold one, like revamping your company's marketing strategy. You could say, I think we should try something new, but that's weak thrust, barely enough to get off the ground. Instead, say, I want to lead a campaign that shifts our focus to sustainable branding. It'll connect with customers and boost engagement by 30%. Can we discuss how to make this happen? You're stating your vision, backing it with a why, and inviting collaboration. That's how I approached investors when I started the Boring Company. I didn't just say, tunnels are cool. I said, I want to build a network of tunnels to cut traffic congestion in half. And here's the data to show it's possible. Let's talk about funding. Clarity plus openness equals impact. But let's be honest, this balance isn't always easy. There's a fine line between being bold and being overbearing, and I've crossed it more times than I'd like to admit. Once, during a heated meeting at Tesla, I said, I want this battery issue fixed by next week, no excuses. I thought I was being decisive, but my team felt steamrolled. The result? They worked overtime, sure, but the morale tanked, and the fix wasn't as good as it could have been. I had to learn to say, I want this battery issue fixed, and I know you're the best team to make it happen. What do you need from me? That shift, acknowledging others' expertise, asking for their input, turned my I want from a command into a catalyst. It's the same in personal life. If you say, I want us to plan a trip together, but they push back, don't double down. Say, I hear you, maybe a trip's not the vibe right now. What's something you'd love to do together? That's how you keep the connection alive. This balance is especially crucial for you, ladies, because the world is quick to judge when a woman speaks her mind. When I say, I want to colonize Mars, people call me visionary. When a woman says, I want to lead this company, too often she's called bossy. That double standard is real and it's unfair. But here's how you navigate it. Use I want to show your strength, but pair it with empathy to show your humanity. For example, if you're negotiating a raise, don't say, I think I deserve more. Say, I want a salary that reflects the value I bring last quarter. I increased sales by 15%. Can we work together to make this fair? You're assertive, but you're also collaborative. You're showing the world you know your worth without shutting anyone out. Let me share one more story. A while back, I was mentoring a young engineer at SpaceX, a woman who was brilliant but kept fading into the background during meetings. I pulled her aside and asked why she wasn't speaking up. She said, I don't want to seem like I'm taking over. I told her, say what you want, but say it with respect. Try this. I want to propose a new approach to the thruster design. It could save us 10% on fuel. What does the team think? She tried it at the next meeting, and guess what? Her idea became the backbone of our next prototype. She didn't just get heard, she got respected. That's what I want can do when you balance it with openness. So, how do you practice this? Start by being intentional with your tone. When you say, I want, let your voice carry confidence but also warmth. Think of it like delivering a pitch to investors. You're selling your vision, but you're also inviting them to join you. Practice in low stakes situations. Next time you're at a restaurant, instead of saying, can you make it quick, say, I want my order in 10 minutes if possible. Let me know if that works. See how it feels to be clear and respectful. Then take it to bigger moments. If you want to deepen a friendship, say, I want us to have a real talk about what's been going on with you. How about coffee this weekend? If you want to pivot your career, tell your mentor, I want to move into product development because I'm passionate about creating solutions. Can you help me map out the next steps? Always leave room for a response. It's the difference between a monologue and a conversation. Here's the deeper truth. When you balance I want with respect, you're not just building connections, you're building trust. You're showing the world you're confident enough to know what you want and humble enough to listen. That's what makes you magnetic. It's what made my conversations with some of the most incredible women in my life, scientists, artists, leaders, turn into something real. They weren't drawn to me because I had all the answers. They were drawn to the fact that I was clear about what I wanted and open to what they brought to the table. And that's what I want for you. I want you to step into every room, every relationship, every dream with the confidence to say, this is what I want, and the grace to say, what do you think? Because when you do, you're not just launching a rocket, you're inviting others to join you on the journey to the stars. Ladies, we've journeyed through the cosmos of your potential. You've seen how I want can break the gravity of fear, redefine how the world sees you, and build connections that hum with authenticity. Now, it's time to strap in and take control of the cockpit. This isn't about theory anymore, it's about action. It's about taking those two words, I want, and using them to launch your life into a new orbit. I'm not here to give you a pep talk that fades by tomorrow. I'm here to challenge you to make I want your fuel, your mission directive, your North Star. Because when you do, you're not just changing your life, you're rewriting the rules of what's possible. Let's talk about how to make that happen, why it matters, and how you can inspire the world, just like I've tried to do with every crazy idea from electric cars to interstellar travel. Let me tell you about a moment that changed how I think about action. When I started the Boring Company, everyone thought I was joking. Tunnels to solve traffic? Come on, Elon, stick to rockets. But I had this fire in my gut, this unshakable belief that I could make cities move faster, make life better. So I said, I want to dig tunnels that cut commute times in half, and I'm starting right now. I didn't wait for approval. I didn't wait for the perfect plan. I grabbed a shovel, metaphorically. Okay, we used giant boring machines and got to work. That first tunnel in Las Vegas, it wasn't perfect, but it was real. It started with I want, and it turned into something that's changing how people move. That's what I want for you, to take your I want and make it real. Not tomorrow, not next year, but right now. So here's my challenge to you. Starting today, use I want 5 times a day for the next week. 5 times, that's it. It doesn't have to be earth shattering. It could be as simple as I want to try that new yoga class at the gym, or as bold as I want to pitch a new product line to my CEO. The point isn't the size of the want, it's the act of saying it, owning it, putting it out into the universe. I've done this myself. When I was building SpaceX, I made a habit of stating my wants out loud, even the small ones. I want coffee with the team to brainstorm landing gear ideas. I want to test this prototype by Friday. It wasn't just about getting things done, it was about training my brain to think clearly, to act decisively, to stop second guessing. And let me tell you, it's addictive. Once you start, you'll feel your confidence grow like a rocket picking up speed as it breaks through the atmosphere. Let's make this practical. Say you're at home planning your week. Instead of thinking, I should probably get organized, say, I want to set up a system to manage my time so I can focus on my goals. Then do it. Grab a planner, download an app, make it happen. Or maybe you're feeling stuck in a friendship that's been one sided. Don't just stew about it. Say, I want us to have an honest talk about how we can make this work for both of us. Then set a date for coffee and start that conversation. If you're dreaming of a career shift, don't just browse job listings in secret. Tell your mentor, I want to move into a role where I can create, not just manage. Can we talk about how to get there? Every time you say, I want, you're not just speaking, you're building momentum. You're laying the foundation for a life that's yours, not someone else's. Now, let's talk about why this matters for you as women. The world needs your voice, your vision, your unapologetic ambition. I've worked with women who've changed the game, engineers who've solved problems I couldn't, designers who've turned ideas into reality, leaders who've inspired teams to do the impossible. But too often, I've seen them hold back, not because they lack the talent, but because they haven't been encouraged to own their wants. That stops now. When you say, I want, you're not just claiming your space, you're inspiring others to do the same. Think about it. If you stand up in a meeting and say, I want to lead this initiative because I know it can transform our company. You're not just advancing your career, you're showing every woman in that room what's possible. You're lighting a spark that could ignite a movement. Here's a story to drive this home. A few years back, I was at a Neuralink demo, and one of our lead scientists, a woman named Sarah, was presenting our latest brain computer interface. She was nervous, first time speaking to a big crowd. I could see her hesitating, starting sentences with, maybe this could. I pulled her aside before the next demo and said, Sarah, tell them what you want this tech to do. Own it. At the next presentation, she walked out and said, I want this technology to help people with paralysis communicate again, and I want it to be accessible within 5 years. The room erupted. Investors leaned in, the team rallied, and Sarah became a force. That one moment of clarity didn't just change how people saw her, it changed how she saw herself. That's what I want for you. I want you to have that moment where you realize your voice isn't just powerful, it's unstoppable. But here's the thing, action isn't enough on its own. You've got to share your journey. When I started SpaceX, I didn't just build rockets in secret, I told the world. I tweeted, I gave talks, I shared the failures and the wins. Why? Because stories inspire, they connect, they make the impossible feel possible. So as you take on this I Want challenge, share it, post on social media, maybe on X, where ideas spread like wildfire. Say, I told my boss I want to lead a project today, and it felt amazing. Or I said I want to start painting again, and I'm signing up for a class. Tag it with number I Want challenge. Let's make this a movement. Let's show the world what happens when women stop holding back and start claiming their desires. I'll be watching, and I'll be cheering you on because I want to see what you're capable of. Let's talk about failure for a second, because it's going to happen. Not every I want will land. I've had rockets crash, deals fall through, and yes, plenty of women tell me, thanks, but no thanks. That's okay. Failure isn't the end, it's data. When a Falcon 9 exploded, I didn't quit. I said, I want to know why this failed and I want to fix it. You do the same. If you say, I want this promotion, and you don't get it, don't shrink back. Say, I want to understand what I need to do to earn it next time. If you say, I want to go on a date with you, and they say no, don't take it personally. Say, I want to keep meeting people who inspire me. Every failure is a step toward your next success, as long as you keep saying, I want, and keep moving. So, ladies, here's the call to action. Make I want your mantra. Say it 5 times a day, every day, for a week. Write it down, speak it out, act on it. Start with the small stuff, ordering your coffee with confidence, asking a friend for a real conversation. Then go big pitch that idea, ask for that raise, tell someone you care about what you really want from the relationship. Share your wins, share your stumbles, because every step is progress. You're not just building a life, you're building a legacy. And I want to see it. I want to see you launch your rocket, break free from gravity, and show the world what happens when a woman owns her wants. Because, trust me, from someone who spent his life chasing the impossible, there's nothing more thrilling than watching someone step into their power and say, I want this, and I'm going to make it happen. So go do it. The universe is waiting.